Let me know if you can hear me good. Let me know if you can. Hey, thanks, Big D. I appreciate you. I appreciate you jumping in and being here. Hey, thanks, Big D. I appreciate you. I appreciate you jumping in and being here. Thanks on the 8K. I knew I was getting close, and then I passed it somewhere in the middle of the night, and man, I kind of amazed that that I got here. That I got to. Kind of surprised that Angry Atrox is like at 1400. And honestly, oh God, glad you're here tonight to crack us up, Derek. Hey, Morbid, how are you doing? I wanted to come on tonight. I really didn't want to go live. I've got we had a lot of severe storm action in this area tonight. We were under a tornado warning for about 15 minutes. One didn't materialize where I was at. That's a good thing. Sadly, some people did lose their homes in Oklahoma tonight to tornadoes. It just kind of goes with, not to trivialize it, but it kind of goes with being an Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Midwest resident. Tornadoes happen, they're disasters. Definitely thinking of people who have, like lost their homes or pets or things like that in tornadoes. Definitely not a lot that can be done to stop stuff like that, other than just getting in a basement and things. I mean, it's just, you got to go to a safe area. Kind of waiting to see if a few more people pop in before I get into what I want to talk about. And it's kind of okay if I don't get a lot of people in here tonight. That's okay too. To make it short and sweet and to the point, I see a lot of people in the reptile community sharing a news article about an incident that happened in Texas over the weekend where a gentleman was free handling a rattlesnake. He got bit. Was not his first bite. I knew who he was. And unfortunately, he passed away from the injury. And I'm seeing a lot of people, and thank God most of them are people that aren't on my friends list, because I don't want to be friends with people like this. No one hates killing snakes more than I do. I think in a perfect world, we wouldn't even keep them in captivity. Now, I'm not anti-keeper, but I think, like, in a perfect world, why do they need cages? Like I said, I keep stuff. I read The Invisible Ark sometime back by the Barkers. I thought they made a lot of good, valid points in that. But I guess the question I have for anyone who's watching tonight or anyone who watches this later is, I see people like celebrating the death of this guy. And like on one hand, I understand it. Like, you play stupid games, you can win stupid prizes. Kind of the kind of thing we see like in rodeo, where, people ride bulls. They know it's a dangerous sport. They're still going to do it and they're still going to get hurt. I see all these people, screaming, yay, yay, and it's like, at one time I kind of thought like that myself. But now, looking back on it all, knowing what all I know, seeing what all I've seen, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't call him a friend, Derek. I appreciate the thought. I would say I knew who he was. He probably knew who I was. It's kind of the bad thing in this whole circuit. I tend to know about everybody because, like, it's the one issue that's really kind of juiced me up, got me going. But that's what I'm getting at, Derek. And then snake people wonder why does society look at us like we're all a bunch of freaks? Well, hell, look at the way you act online. I mean, seriously, when people are saying, yeah, the guy's dead, I mean, it's like, I kind of understand the sentiment because, these events, they take rattlesnakes out of the wild. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of them are butchered, killed, eaten, made into belts, wallets, things like that. Stuff I don't think is necessary. But I really wish people would get educated on these things and understand that I think the way we can make a difference is by talking to these people civilly and stating what we think of as objectionable and why. I mean, literally, there's a whole bunch of people that, like, I've seen leave comments and it's just like, and to me, it's just not a good thing. And anytime anyone, whether it's a roundup participant, a free handler, a zoologist, herpetologist, anytime anyone dies from a snake bite, the snake loses. I've done a ton of historical research on rattlesnake roundups in Oklahoma and Texas specifically. I know a little bit about the ones in Georgia, Alabama, or the ones that used to be in Georgia and Alabama. I think Alabama's the only one down in Op. But these events started, go back to the 30s and 40s in somewhere like rural Texas, rural Oklahoma. Unfortunately, hospitals weren't just 2 blocks down the street fully stocked with crow fab. People's dogs would get bit. Sometimes they'd get bit. Sometimes their kids would get bit. I think the livestock stuff has been a little exaggerated. I've never seen any real hard evidence of, like, people losing cows or horses to venomous snake bite. So that's kind of like another kind of off the wall thing. It gets claimed. We do know that people have been bitten by them, and they fall under the category of like an accidental bite, where you don't see a snake, you step on it, something, you get tagged. Once again, nobody loves these critters more than I do. They are dangerous. But I think when we take a news article and spread it around, it kind of galvanizes the hunt's purpose for going on in the first place. In all honesty, the freer roundup, which is the one I'm referring to, I didn't even know they were still buying snakes. I don't even know that they are. I heard the snake part of it was almost dead. They're a big Tejano music festival. Tejano and Hispanic and Latin music. A lot of that stuff goes on there, and a lot of big country names have came through that hunt. I want to say the first freer roundup was in 1966, and I want to say it's from what I heard, it's teetering on the brink of getting rid of the snake part of it altogether and just turning into a music festival, because 9 out of 10 people, that's what they're there for. But, you know, should we celebrate the death of someone by a venomous snake? I don't know. What do you think? I don't think we would celebrate the death of anyone from any other means. Gunshot, suicide, murder, drunk driving accident, texting driving accident. I mean, who does that? Really kind of all over the place tonight, just with weather, the busy weekend that I had. I was down in Mangum, Oklahoma, and I was actually talking to a guy down there. I'm not gonna share his name at this point in time, but he was working the rattlesnake pit, and he said stop by and listen to my education stuff that I throw out, see if I've got it right. So I did, and come to find out, the guy actually breeds snakes himself, likes snakes. You know, he doesn't participate in the killing of them. He does do some of the handling. He pins them, shows people their fangs, stuff like that. What I was kind of impressed with by him was at least the education coming out of his mouth was not wrong. It was right. It was like, this is a rattlesnake. You want to give it a lot of space. You don't want to approach it. But here's where it eats 20, 30 mice a year, which turns into this, which protects us from bubonic plague, hantavirus, ticks. I cannot say, even though I tend to disagree with the whole thing. I mean, but like literally, I'm so like just over the weirdness of so many people in the reptile community who have these almost PETA-esque like reactions to something like this, and then get upset when they get associated with PETA. It's like, hell, you're acting just like them. What do you expect people to think? Hey, you reptile. That's me, you reptile. It's risky business. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with free handling for any reason. Hey, Kenzu. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you looked up herping. This is live. I'm not covering herping stuff tonight. Check out my Wild Snakes of America playlist, and you'll see more field herping videos. DA Exotics, how you doing? Thought about you earlier, DA. We just had tornadoes come through the whole area all over again, and there was some out by Silver City, Terrellton area, or there was some circulation. But Andrew, what I'm talking about tonight is, a roundup participant in Freer, Texas. Yeah, I knew who he was. I didn't know him real well, but let's just say I knew who he was. Leave it there. His family is out there reading these comments. Okay. Are we going to win them to our side with comments like that? I know a lot of people will disagree with me. That's fine. More or less, Kenzu, more or less. And I really don't disagree with your assessment, because I'm seeing these comments where people are like rejoicing where this guy died. And I'm sitting there thinking, once again, I kind of understand these stupid games, stupid prizes sentiment. It's a risk you take. But then this person's family seeing these comments online being left from people who love reptiles, no doubt I'm passionate about them myself. But I also wouldn't say, like, let's say someone got killed by a dog. It happens. There's larger breeds, and I'm not hating on any of them. I'm just saying it does occasionally happen. Someone gets attacked by a dog, gets mauled by a dog, or a pack of dogs gets killed. I'm not going to say go dogs. Everyone's going to say that was a horrible, horrible thing that happened. I'm sorry for your loss. Then here's everybody in the reptile world that's out there sharing this article, like getting it more traffic, getting it more seen. So they're going to run stories like this more often. Morbid it is, but look at how many people. Look at all the herpers and pet tubers and people like that free handle. If one of them got bit, I wouldn't celebrate it. If one of them died, I wouldn't celebrate it. And once again, I'm one of these like no free handling whatsoever kind of people. I'm definitely not sticking up for the roundups. I think it's a mismanagement. I don't think females of any species should be up for grabs. I really don't. At least in the reptile world. Exactly, Morbid, but I wouldn't be happy if you died, if you got constricted. That's the kind of stuff that puts me off of people in the so-called reptile community. Hell, I don't want to be part of it. Don't associate me with that. Like, literally. Like, I love reptiles. I've loved reptiles my entire life. Probably will love them the rest of my life. But once again, anytime someone dies from snake bite, they become a statistic. And then that's used to justify further hate against snakes. So once again, when you glorify this kind of stuff, I don't know what to think. I mean, like, or when you glorify someone's dying, someone's passing, it's like, you know, there's a lot of people I've met at the roundup circuit that I've traveled in West Texas, in Oklahoma. I can guarantee you, not everybody that participates in these things dislikes snakes. A lot of these people use it as an excuse to go out and play with snakes. Exactly, morbid. And you know, DEA, I don't disagree with that either. I wouldn't say he was an expert. I would say he'd been snake handling for a long time. He also did a lot of nuisance removal calls where snakes were not killed. They are. You know, in my opinion as well, Kinzu. I'm with you. But at the same time, the game departments aren't stopping them. And that's who needs to intervene. If you want these things stopped, I mean, the game departments need to jump on this stuff, and they're not. A lot of old school reptile keepers told me 10 years ago to leave this kind of stuff alone. I'd be like, why? You know, I mean, why? I don't think stuff like this is any longer necessary. We have good treatment for snake bite in most cases. 50 years ago, it wasn't the case. And people said, you know, the more restricted you get towards like commercial harvesting of reptiles, you know, the stricter they'll be on keepers, on captives, on stuff like that, on possessing natives. And although I don't totally agree with that, I see where I see where they're actually coming from. Well, and Andrew, I was at you know, you bring up a good point. Like, I was talking to a guy at the Mangum Roundup this last weekend, and he told me, he said, check my education stuff, you know, let me know if I'm throwing out anything that's felonious. And I said, okay. This is a guy who actually breeds ball pythons. He breeds ball pythons, and he's working a snake pit. I mean, everything he had to say about the snakes, he was not demonizing them. His the facts that he was throwing out about them were on point, and they were at a level where people can understand. You know, one person asked him what kind of snake he had around his neck, and it was a western rat snake, and he just said a rat snake. We didn't, you know, he didn't get into the. It used to be a black rat, now it's called a western rat. Some people call it a Texas rat. Not a. He didn't clutter up the scene with stuff that's akin to. It's venomous, not poisonous. Yeah, but both are toxic, so I mean, you know, look at it that way. Hey KY, glad you're here. Me personally, I just don't want to be associated with anyone who is happy when someone dies of snake bite. To me, the whole thing is counterproductive. Now, granted, it's preventable. Um, look at people who work with snakes in things that we approve of, like venom extraction. Guy in Africa about 6 months ago, can't remember his name. He was milking a black mamba. He got tagged. Sadly, he didn't make it, and he was only like 20 years old. Um, Nobody's rejoicing in his death. Oh, but we agree with that. And I get it. We tend to side with the things we agree with. Me too, Kinzu. I hate when people die to snakes, and I hate when people kill snakes. I do. I'd much rather I'd much rather have them removed by someone like me who knows what he's doing, who has proper equipment. But that's one thing that a lot of people miss. Is a lot of times the people that volunteer at these roundups in these like tiny little towns, they're who you call when you get a snake in your garage or your backyard. And I've known a lot of people who have worked in roundups who have taken a snake and safely relocated it and not harmed it. Um, I'm just tired of the hate. Some people say I helped start a lot of it. It's a valid viewpoint. I definitely threw some gasoline on the fire. Exactly, KY. However, in places like Texas and Oklahoma, a lot of ranchers don't want them around. So they let their land get hunted. And and what's the alternative? If you don't let the hunters go in, we'll be here, Andrew. If you don't let the hunters go in, you the farmers will set the tank den sites on fire, blow it up with dynamite, stuff like that. We've got records of that stuff happening in Oklahoma. Hey KY, help me watch for profanity, KY, and Kinzu. Glad you're here. Thank you for checking out my channel. I try to keep profanity out of the chat. A snake handler at a roundup in South Texas died on Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Interestingly enough, I was shooting video at a roundup in Oklahoma and talking to them about some things. And you see, that's my thing, is I try to go to these people and I try to be civil and try to say, hey, do we think about this? Do we think about that? As much as I don't like, just collecting that many rattlesnakes out of the wild, I'm not seeing any evidence it's hurting the populations in this state, in Oklahoma. Now, I don't like it, but I saw a quote from someone in the game department a few days back. They were talking about this issue, and they said, they're still in the same counties. We've always had records of them being in. Now, once again, keep in mind, in Oklahoma, burrow gassing is illegal. A lot of the hunts know how to look for it. A lot of the hunts know how to spot gas snakes. If you've been around, it's not hard. That's my main issue with it, is the burrow gassing, which is legal in Texas. But literally, I cannot bring myself to be around people who say, I'm glad that someone died. I just, I don't think we're doing ourselves or these animals any favors. And once again, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that will disagree with me. That's fine. And I wasn't even gonna go live tonight. Honestly, I didn't plan on it. Didn't want to, but I kind of thought, I want to say this and get it off my chest. I may enlist this live after a while because I'm just not in the kind of place. Real busy time of the year for me where I can't really entertain a lot of drama, and it's not always been the case. A lot of times I've been just as ready to jump into drama as whatever. Um, hey, Andrew, when you get back, remind me of that website that Gary built. I forgot what it's called, and I'd love it if you drop the link in this chat room. Because I have just had a lot of stuff going on, and I'm running behind. Hey, Boa Man, how are you? Glad you're here. Um, I really do. My heart really does break. Anytime snakes are, in my opinion, unnecessarily killed, or they're killed to make a belt out of, or something. Or now people do eat it. I've tried it once. Never tried again. It doesn't taste like chicken. It tastes like a damn snake. I'm a little stressed, Bo, man. We had tornadoes come through here tonight. But anyway, what do you think? Like, what do you think Joe Public thinks about snake people when they see 50 comments on a post about someone dying, and people are saying, "Ah, yeah." I think it makes more of the public turn against us. I really do. People say I'm wrong. I don't care. You're welcome to your opinion. I'm welcome to mine. Mine's based on what I've observed. Exactly, Boa Man. I think a lot of the public are still scared of snakes, although I think we're making progress. I see a lot of places where people used to be like, kill every snake you see, venomous, non venomous, doesn't matter, just kill it. And people who would have said something like that 5 years ago are like, oh, that's a king snake. No, leave that one alone if you don't want venomous snakes, because they eat venomous snakes. I mean, I think a lot of people are learning. I think more and more people are catching on as we get better and get better with education. We're able to reach, people at an earlier age. A lot of people, some of it may be their religion, some of it may just be an anthropological belief. I mean, I've read papers where people think that the fear of snakes actually doesn't tie back to religion, but goes back to the anthropological early days of man, where 3,000, 4,000 years ago, there was no such thing as anti-venom. People who lived around snakes just killed them. Now, I don't like that. God knows what kind of species went extinct before we even came into the 1900s. Who knows? Could be a lot. My thing, Bowman, is a guy who was handling a venomous snake at a rattlesnake roundup. died over the weekend. And I'm kind of, I understand it's a dangerous thing to do, and it's not something I agree with. I don't agree with the free handling of any venomous snake. I've worked with venomous snakes for 40 years, and once again, I use hooks, I use tongs, I use tubes, and I don't get bit. It works for me. I have friends who free handle who've been bit 5 times. Don't want to see them die. Yeah, Bowman, it's kind of along the lines of I think we can gain more flies with honey than we can with vinegar. Old proverb. You know, E-Reptile, I remember that stuff. I remember old timers here in Oklahoma thinking that, you know, horned lizards could kill dogs and stuff. And today we know that they're harmless. I've heard accounts of people in Arizona, New Mexico, places like that, that kill any lizard they see because they think it could be a Gila monster. And once again, like who gets bit by a Gila monster? You know, I mean, other than when you're handling it. Oh gosh. Um, I don't know. It's my 2 cents. I'm gonna drop it. Take it or leave it. You don't have to agree, disagree. If you disagree, I thought I turned the chat on so you could leave a comment at the bottom. And I'm not seeing where it is, so I will try to fix this live after I get off of it. It's not going to be my best live. It's not going to be my most entertaining live. But, anyway, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. Thumbs up, thumbs down, hate it, just rate it. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because I've got other things to do tonight. Got a whole ton of data to get off cameras and stuff. Hey, Andrew, what was the name of that website that Gary built? We were just talking about that. Because I have not been able to access it. Or I forgot what it was, in all honesty. I think I tried to bookmark it and I didn't do it right or something. Kind of hate to admit to that, but oh well. Reptipost. Hang on. Let me see if I can find a link to it. Reptisoft. Hang on. Nope. Reptipost. Ah, and I'm still logged in. Hey, Homestead Aquarius. Ask you a quick question. And eReptile, that's it right there, reptipost.com. Homestead, can you answer a question for me? In the chat. Homestead Aquarius is a homestead channel. Okay, go for it. Okay, a person was killed over the weekend handling a venomous rattlesnake. Lots of snake people are saying, we're glad the guy died. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, like as someone who's not like a full-time, reptile enthusiast, what would you think? I mean, I think that makes people who are reptile enthusiasts look like psychopaths. I would love to hear your thoughts, Homestead. Sorry, guys. A lot going on in my world. Yeah, it was an older guy. He got bit in the shoulder. It was a bad placement. They had to life flight him to Corpus Christi. And I feel he was taking an unnecessary risk. Totally. But at the same time, when you see people saying, yeah, glad he's dead, what do you think? I mean, what impression does that give of you of the person making that comment? I think most of the general public looks at us and thinks, gosh, these people are, no pun intended, cold-blooded. And that's my thing. I don't agree with what they're doing. And I think it is an unnecessary risk, but I don't want to celebrate someone's death. I don't care if they've killed one snake, 50 snakes, 100 snakes, and I love snakes. I will fight hell to get someone to not kill a snake. Exactly, Bowman. We can despise rattlesnake hunting all we want. And be anti-free handling. But once again, we've seen people who have changed. I've seen people in my years of research that used to be part of the roundup community, and now they're part of the herpetology community. A lot of people don't know that Bob Ginny, the former reptile curator from the Oklahoma City Zoo, did the first two shows at the first two Sweetwater roundups. It's in their book. I wasn't around. It's about 20 years before my time. I do know that the Tulsa Zoo, at one point in time, would take rattlesnakes from the Joaquin Roundup. It's documented. I mean, it's in papers that are on JSTOR. I don't have links handy, but oh well. Exactly, Homestead. And that's the thing is I've met some people who work in and around rattlesnake roundups, and I wouldn't say some of them are snake lovers. And some of them, it's a way they can legally play around with venomous snakes. I mean, that's one aspect of it. That's one thing I see. This one I was at this last weekend, while I do disagree with the killing, they weren't taking a whole lot of snakes. They had about 200 snakes. Not a lot for that part of the world. I mean, it's not a huge ecological disaster. At least that one's not in that county, in my opinion. There's a lot of snakes in that county. I've heard that county a lot. Believe me, there's a lot of snakes there. But the people there were concerned that, or they were casting the snakes in a positive light. They were talking about the benefits to the environment. They were talking about, how to not get bit. They're talking about safety. And once again, do we really want to alienate ourselves from these people? You see, me, I love people, but I also love animals. And I love people who love animals probably most of all. So those are my kind of people. But I just don't understand celebrating someone's death. I don't get it. I don't want to get it, and I don't want to be friends with those who think it's nifty. Right. Yeah, and that's kind of what I've seen, Homestead. I've kind of tried to stay out of it for the most part. And really, people forget about it in a week. But his family won't. The family of these people. Then keep in mind, the people in this area where nothing goes on, this will be talked about for 6 months. This rattlesnake hunt, which is actually more of a music festival today, the rattlesnake hunt is a very minimal part of that whole thing in Freer. People will be talking about this for 6 months, and it further perpetuates rattlesnake bites can kill you. Let's keep that going around. Well, they can. You definitely gotta be safe and gotta know what you're doing to be messing with them. But at the same time, yeah, I'm kind of like I am like this close to like just deleting my Facebook, or at least archiving it, deactivating it, because I've never seen hate, not just over this issue but over other issues, spread like wildfire like I have on Facebook. That's why I'm kind of like I'm gonna I'm going to I'm going to post the link again. It's reptipost.com. And if you're into reptiles, I would definitely look at that because it looks like Gary Orner's behind it. Should be a good thing. But gang, I am going to drop off of here. Homestead, thank you for chiming in. I really appreciate your input because I know what a lot of snake people think. I just I have my own thoughts about it and what it looks like. And I don't agree with that kind of stance. That's all I'm here to say. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, I'll get back to making my regular videos soon. So, as always, I appreciate your support. Andrew, I'm going to try and message you on Instagram in a little bit if I can. Either that or over on ReptiPost. Thank you for reminding me, Andrew, about ReptiPost or having the link. Once again, I thought it, it's funny is I thought I'd bookmarked it and I'm still logged into it, but I forgot what it was. So, hey, Homestead, thank you for stopping by. It was really good to have you. Get kind of like an outside opinion. It's kind of what I was after. So I do appreciate it. And thank you guys all for being here. And I'll catch you all later. Bye.